In a small country in the west, there's a secret discussion taking place involving Johann Rostia, an appointed elder of the Rozo family. Johann believes Yuuki could defeat Demon Lord Rimuru head-on, but he's told otherwise. They bicker a bit more, followed by Maribel entering and proclaiming he should have dealt with the slime a lot sooner. The storm dragon Valdora living in Tempest made that nearly impossible, though under the right circumstances, Yuuki believes himself to be a match for the Demon Lord. After witnessing Tempest Festival, Maribel knows she's running out of time to take control of Rimuru. Her unique skill is avarice, and actually has two methods to influence others. First of which is slow, steady, and undetectable, while the other is instantaneous but risky as it forces control. You then learn that Yuuki is being controlled by Maribel, and that his true power is actually on par with Hinata. Have you ever heard of a little game known as
Raid Shadow Legends?
Stop, don't skip ahead. Now, you probably know that Raid is a PvE/PvP game with over 700 champions, but this promo's not about that. Because we're gonna look at the top 3 most dateable champions. Kicking off with number 3, allow me to introduce you to the High Elf, Lysandra. Not only is she beautiful, but her support skills will lead you to victory. Next up at number 2, equipped with unrivaled loyalty, it's Romero. Stare too long and his golden locks may leave you stunned, but have no fear, because his shield will keep you safe. Lastly, we have number 1, Dark Elhain. Now at first, you might find her to be a bit cold, but you might just be the one to thaw out her undead heart. In other news, I literally just finished watching the first 2 episodes of Raid Call of the Arbiter. It's a limited series on YouTube consisting of short 6-minute episodes, each one focusing on a different champion. Due to the release of this surprisingly good show, Raid is currently giving away the legendary champion Artok for free. All you have to do is log into the game for 7 days between now and July 24th. All new players can click my link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to earn yourself a free starter pack containing $30 worth of items. Then after you log in and get up to speed, be sure to try out the PvP arena. You never know, you might just run across an opponent named Unseen Whispers. Once again, be sure to click my link in the description to try out one of the best mobile strategy games for yourself. Thank you, Raid Shadow Legends, for sponsoring this video. It was only a few days prior that the hero conquered Floor 40, which kicked off a huge celebration all across Tempest. They've even begun recording and televising the hero's battles, and Rimuru debates selling merchandise as well. Now our group has earned themselves the title
Dungeon Dominators.
Though of course it's all strictly research, not for fun. At one point they even attempted to take on the dungeon themselves, but Bovix wiped the floor with them. After receiving a message, they take a break, finding Frey, who immediately asks how/why. All of Milam's supervisors were knocked unconscious. After a series of stutters, Rimuru states that work comes before research, as Milam is forcefully drug out of the room. Our lovely Shuna then wonders where they've been, causing Valdora and Ramirez to excuse themselves for research purposes. Our slime begins to panic, just as Molly arrives with an invite from the Western Hand. The Western Council is essentially a human alliance consisting of all the Western countries. They work together to handle issues such as monsters or natural disasters, and the more funding a country offers, the more representatives they can have on the council. You see, just after the end of the festival, the council held a meeting, and the room was in utter chaos regarding Demon Lord Rimuru. Hinata was even invited as a guest, and after hours of bickering, they agree to let Tempest join the Western Council, though they plan to manipulate Rimuru as they see fit. Johann declares they can use Tempest as a shield against the east, and Count Gabin reminds them that Demon Lord Rimuru did manage to tame the Storm Dragon. It took the council 8 full hours to conclude this meeting, but Hinata is finally free, though she's stopped by Prince Elric of Inglacia. This genius is planning to provoke Demon Lord Rimuru and asks Hinata to serve as his bodyguard. She obviously advises him against this, but is then degraded by the prince and his royal knight for acting like a scared, meek little woman. Holding in her anger, she declares that the Holy Church has signed a non-aggressive pact with Tempest and proclaims to fully trust in Rimuru. Sir Reiner exclaims she'll regret this decision, as she simply walks away. Our slime arrives to Inglacia along with Benimaru, Soe, and Shuna. Since they have some time to spare, they go clothes shopping and even pick out a new dress for Shion. Next, they head to Yoshida's old cafe, where Soe reveals that Duke Muse, the man who caused problems during the festival, was recently assassinated. Was likely killed to keep him quiet. The strange thing is that Soe couldn't detect the attack, causing Rimuru to wonder if it could have been a sniper. Hinata scares our slime, before mentioning that Yuuki owns a handgun. Rimuru wonders if sniper rifles exist, however Hinata's never saw one. After explaining the concept of a sniper, Shuna states she'd love to have one for herself, followed by our saint hoping that Tempest doesn't begin mass-producing firearms.
If someone is sniped during tomorrow's meeting, you will likely be blamed.
Now, it's true that regular lead bullets wouldn't affect our group, but it's always possible that magic bullets exist as well. Changing topics, Hinata reveals the council agreed to let Tempest join, but they're still planning to rake him over the coals. Soe is already aware they want to use Tempest as a shield against the East, but Rimuru isn't worried because the East lacks a safe route to launch an attack. Surprisingly, Hinata offers to investigate the East, but Raphael suggests they have her investigate any potential routes through Dworgen. She agrees and warns him the council wishes to take advantage of Tempest's superior military power.
Giving them troops could create obligations in your favor.
Lastly, Rimuru is warned that a few people are planning to do something stupid during the meeting. Upon his arrival the following day, Demon Lord Rimuru is swarmed by a mixture of superficial compliments and blatant bribes, which only manage to annoy him. The meeting begins with Tempest immediately being met by 3 strict demands. First, they must agree to follow the already established international laws, which Rimuru is okay with. Second, Tempest must allow all countries within the council to partake in its flourishing economy. Our slime is all for free trade, but he's not about to just hand over all their superior technology. Third, Tempest must spread its military throughout the Western nations and thus defend them against any threats. Our Demon Lord's okay with this, but he has a few conditions. As a rebuttal, he pulls out a document which has the same 3 general points, but the details are vastly different. The council takes time to discuss this, and after a while, a desk is launched into the air before being smashed into the ground. You see, the council responded with numerous additional ridiculous demands, such as giving them partial authority over the dungeon and restricting Tempest representatives to only being human. A pissed off Rimuru shouts, asking how dare they make demands of a demon lord, followed by Shuna wondering why the now silent room is ignoring her lord's question. He makes it very clear he doesn't need to join this council, and that he's only here to prove that Tempest isn't hostile to humans.
As you intended, I analyzed the room and found spiritual interference.
That wasn't his intention at all, he was just genuinely mad. But Rimuru removes the spiritual interference from the room. Instantly, there's a noticeable difference. The door bursts open as a large man enters the room, immediately insulting our demon lord and claiming he'll take control of him with an orb of domination.
The orb will not work on you.
Rimuru confidently steps forward as the chairman proclaims the council has nothing to do with this intrusion. Hinata declares that Reiner isn't allowed to be here, as Count Gabin announces himself as the mastermind. Johan speaks out against this, but Prince Elric arrives, exclaiming they can't let this opportunity slip by. Across the room, Hinata is absolutely fuming, followed by Reiner stating he'll gladly protect her if she becomes his mistress. Count Gabin seems a little too interested in our cute slime, followed by the Sons of Velt and Gaie entering the room. Though the Sons of Velt make it very clear they're not about to pick a fight with that demon lord. The council roars they can't do this without their consent, but the prince gives a grand speech before commencing a vote. Multiple people stand up in support of Elric.
All within my calculations. The spiritual interference you removed was affecting their desires.
As Raphael generates a document detailing all the bribes Soe uncovered. Our slime tells Elric to look around, and he finds only 1/3 of the council to be standing in his favor. Mr. Prince is enraged, and Gabin exclaims they'll remove Inglesia's support for this betrayal, prompting the chairman to wonder what he could mean. Rimuru reveals a few of their bribes, as the supporters attempt to stealthily sit back down, but Soe strings them up. With this charade over, Rimuru prepares to end this, but Hinata darts forward. Gaie steps up to confront this demon lord himself, but Shuna cuts in, not willing to allow this disrespect. Now both enemies are well over rank A, yet Benimaru is frozen in fear at the sight of his little sister. Moving quicker than he can see, Hinata skillfully throws Reiner into the wall. Using a fan, Shuna snaps Gaie's powerful sword, before tripping him and asking if he'll please take this seriously. Just as Shuna begins casting the ultimate holy spell. Her opponent panics upon realizing what this is, and he's completely consumed by Disintegration's holy light. Though a moment later, he's left crying on the floor without any clothes. Shuna tries claiming she just must need more practice, but Rimuru is well aware it takes an unbelievable amount of precision and control to pull that off. Elric and Gabin order Reiner to get back up, but after that single throw, he wets himself out of fear.
Murderous intent detected. Target is Prince Elric.
His magic sense picks up a lone red-haired girl over a mile away. She pulls out a measly handgun, yet doesn't even have line of sight to her target. Upon pulling the trigger, a portal appears, consuming the bullet and spitting it out inches from Elric's head. There's no possible way Rimuru can physically react fast enough.
Would you like to activate Lord of Gluttony?
As the bullet is pulled into our Demon Lord's hand. Of course, Soe pursues the assassin, and Rimuru is left explaining how deadly this tiny bullet can be. Count Gaben then attempts to put all the blame on the young prince, but Rimuru nor the council is buying that. Suddenly, King Agil of Inglacia struts into the room, apologizing for his son's idiotic behavior. The royal guard then takes Count Gaben away, followed by a group of powerful hooded figures removing Gaia and Reiner. With this, Tempest is recognized as a nation, allowed to join the Western Council, and was given all rights to the Council's military. Glinda's shot was flawless, yet the slime was unbelievably able to stop it. A voice states she's underestimated Rimuru, and even reveals they were expecting this. She fires regular bullets and slashes with a magic-infused knife, but ends up retreating from Soe's sticky thread. With no need to dodge, Soe lets the next bullet bounce off, but it was magic-infused, exploding his arm. He casually states she won't be killed if she cooperates, but a hail of bullets pulverizes the remainder of his body. Though just as Glinda begins to relax, she looks up to find 4 more Soes surrounding her. Mirabelle proclaims their plan failed, but it did allow them to obtain info on the magical inquisitors, which Inglacia created by infusing humans with monsters. Johan wonders if they can use the inquisitors to their advantage, but it's pointed out that Demon Lord Rimuru is simply too strong. He wonders why they can't just coexist with Tempest, which is because Mirabelle can't trust Rimuru when he holds enough power to conquer all of the West. A Blood Shadow then reports of Glinda's defeat, followed by Mirabelle declaring they need to stop Rimuru now, and will do so during their expedition. Yuuki finally chimes in, reminding her that Demon Lord Milam will be there as well, but he's told they'll just crush her at the same time. Taking down 2 Demon Lords at once is surely an impossible task, though she declares they'll simply return the dragon to Milam. It's pointed out that Veldora the Storm Dragon is still an issue, but Mirabelle is certain that Luminous will step in to stop his rampage. Now back at the cafe, the group discusses the meeting. Shuna and Hinata claim all they did was correct some bad behavior, followed by Benimaru revealing he was on the verge of scorching everyone there. Soe sends a thought communication upon capturing the assassin, causing Hinata to immediately recognize it to be Glinda.
Glinda has a skill that creates weapons from memory.
Rimuru states this, Hinata wonders how he can tell, and then offers to help with the interrogation. Waking up to a glare, Glinda tells them to just kill her already, so Soe offers to begin removing her arms. Our slime asks if the goal was to frame him for murdering Elric, but she's honestly not sure. Hinata wants to know if she always planned to betray the church, but receives no comment. She's asked if she believes in Luminous. Glinda states gods don't exist, followed by Rimuru preventing her decapitation. Shuna points out that it's actually okay to kill Glinda, because she still needs to practice her resurrection spell. Letting Raphael take the lead, Rimuru begins explaining how the council was being manipulated by an outside force. She's unsure why he's saying all this, so Rimuru states that Mirabelle Rosso, who attended his festival, is the controller, and Glinda's expression confirms that suspicion. Upon hearing this name, Hinata states that maybe Grin, aka Granville Rosso, somehow managed to survive. Glinda is angrily confused at how they figured all that out, but she finally gives up, revealing that as a summoned Otherworlder, Mirabelle has her soul bound by a spell, and will surely extinguish it at any moment. Hinata makes one last demand, as she wants to know if Glinda was forced to betray Luminous, and you find out that Granville always kept a close eye on her.
Shall I free her soul?
Thus, our kind Demon Lord frees her, and is willing to let her walk away, as long as she doesn't bother Tempest again. Of course, she's not welcome at the church either, but surprisingly, she begs to work for Rimuru. She simply has nowhere else to go, and after thinking it over, Rimuru agrees, putting her under Soe's control. Then over dinner, Glinda spills everything she knows about the Rosso family. Benimaru states he would like to avoid a 2-front war, one being against the Rossos and the other against Yuuki. Hinata was unaware Yuuki was an enemy, but Glinda bluntly states he's being controlled by Mirabelle. With that being revealed, it's very possible the upcoming expedition into the ruins will turn out to be a trap.
You can use this opportunity to bait them out.
So they decide to continue with the expedition, but will take some extra precautions. Hinata even warned Rimuru to be careful, and he begins to think this might be her way of flirting with him.
Negative.
The day of the expedition arrives, so Rimuru suits up, which includes a newly made handgun. It turns out Gopta is a huge fan of the pistol, while Ranga is just sad that he can't operate it. They meet up with Kogli and her team at the guild to find a wagon prepared for their long journey. However, Rimuru simply teleports the group across the continent. Arriving to Distov, they're greeted by Dark Elves, who've already prepared rooms for each of them. It turns out the first section of the ruins is currently being used as housing, and the second section is locked behind a magical seal. Our two brutes are ready to bust it down, however that would cause the ancient defense system to activate. The expedition team begins deciphering, but Rimuru's already cracked the code. He gives the team an explanation of the process, followed by the elves informing them dinner is prepared, so they call it quits for the day. The very next day, they're progressing through the second section, which gives Milam a heavy dose of nostalgia. In order to speed up their process, Rimuru teaches one person elemental communication, and another an auto-mapping skill. Thus, they end the day at the seal to the third floor. The following day, half the group continues exploring the second section, while the other half begins cracking the seal. This time, our slime allows the others to figure it out, as he takes time to analyze each member, verifying that nobody is suspicious. Milam's group eventually returns with some loot, just as a tremor violently shakes the ruins.
Hostile detected. Ruins defense system has activated.
At this point, Kogli is the prime suspect, and Milam reminds him they prepared for this exact scenario. After the second quake, Rimuru's magic sense picks up an unbelievably powerful dragon. Its raw magic power easily surpasses a demon lord, and Milam teleports away, after seemingly recognizing it as an old friend. An army of golems then arrive, pushing the group back into the crypt of the third section. Here, Shion, Ranga, and Gopta are easily able to hold the horde at bay.
Removing limiters, activating battle mode.
Kogli wonders who could be crazy enough to attack a demon lord, and even wake up a chaos dragon. She straight up asks if Rimuru has provoked anyone, and he states there is currently a conflict of interest. Kogli wants to know why they can't just talk it out, as Maribel declares that to be impossible, since their desires are much too different. Rimuru does in fact recognize Maribel from the festival, and the expedition team is stunned to see Yuki's appearance. Gaie moves forward to attack. Shion steps up, but is instead met by Yuuki. Ranga and Gopta fuse together to take on Rama, followed by Demon Lord Rimuru throwing the entirety of his aura toward Gaie, instantly killing him. Gopta is unnerved at witnessing that, but Shion can't wait to rub it in Diablo's face. Now Maribel had powered up Gaie to the max, even sacrificing his remaining lifespan for short-term strength. Now realizing she's outmatched, she orders her allies to erect a holy field over the ruins, but it's dismantled a moment later by Hakuro, Gabiru, and Sokka. Refusing to give up, she launches a magic-fueled kick, which Rimuru easily deflects. With only one option remaining, Maribel forcefully uses Avarice on Rimuru, switching his desire to live, instead to desire his own demise. An evil cloud overtakes our slime, as he admits this is definitely strong enough to kill Benimaru or even Hinata. Rimuru's analysis skill, however, just finished dismantling it. Even after witnessing her last resort fail, Maribel still refuses to give in, and Rimuru promises to make this painless. Activating Beelzebub, activating his skill, Shion slams into a nearby wall motionless as Yuuki squares up against our slime. Maribel gives him a power-up just before they launch into a flurry of blows, allowing Maribel to escape deeper into the ruins. Rimuru definitely has the upper hand, but a kick just exploded his arm.
Yuuki has anti-skill, which is able to break through absolute defense.
Since punches don't work, Rimuru is forced to draw a sword, even though he really doesn't wish to cut down his friend.
Anti-skill is not affecting the weapons.
Taking a page from Veldora, Rimuru unleashes Stormbreak, gouging a deep wound into Yuki's chest. Our slime is unable to remove Avarice's hold on Yuuki, so he prepares to attack seriously, but with the backside of his blade. However, suddenly, Yuuki is surrounded by his friends, who all state that Yuuki is strong enough to overcome this influence.
Maribel's influence has been broken.
Recognizing the ridiculous cliche, Rimuru yells for Gopta to hurry up and win, though he only took so long because he didn't want to hurt Glinda's former comrade. With no time to relax, Yuuki and Kogli chase after Maribel, as they believe she plans to turn the magic generator powering these ruins into a massive bomb. Rimuru orders Gopta and Shion to escort the expedition team, as he teleports out to back up Milam. Deep inside the crypt, Maribel frantically searches for the magic generator, but it's nowhere to be found. Yuuki exclaims the generator was just a lie, and that Rimuru turned out to be too strong for him. Kogli genuinely thought Yuuki betrayed her, followed by Maribel demanding to know how he broke free. While laughing, he reveals she never actually had control. He was just acting the entire time. Maribel angrily announces this is far from over, but his hand pierces through her heart. Her power is then forcefully sucked out, as he says,
You were unlucky to be born within my lifetime.
Looking over the humongous Chaos Dragon, he can tell that avarice is influencing it. Milam might be the only person alive that's actually strong enough to destroy this creature. However, she can't bring herself to kill a friend. Quickly coming up with a plan, he asks if she can destroy everything except its core. Honestly, she's not confident, but Rimuru states he believes in her. With a flash of light, Milam uses Drago Buster, which has next to no effect. Avarice's influence just vanished, as Rimuru successfully locks onto its core. He orders her to do it. She unleashes
Dragon Nova.
reminding him just how unbelievably powerful this cute, innocent-looking girl is. The dragon begins to vaporize as Bezelbuth safely extracts the core. Milam screams that she's unable to stop this explosion,
It's not a problem.
followed by Rimuru consuming this otherwise unstoppable magic power. With no time to waste, Rimuru combines the core with a pseudo-soul, asking if the dragon has a name. The pseudo-soul then softly begins to glow, prompting Rimuru to turn it into an avatar core, so that after it heals, the dragon will be born again, but with a brand new, untainted body. And at that, this conflict comes to an end, with Rimuru pondering how absolutely screwed they would have been if Milam wasn't here. Elsewhere, Coggali complains he tricked her, and asked if his goal from the beginning was to steal Maribel's power. Yuuki states that evil skills are always the strongest, and that they can finally relax, as Rimuru surely believes him to be innocent. She's not very happy that he blew up the ruins, but he had to do it to protect their cover story. You also come to find out that they are aware that the god Luminous is in fact Demon Lord Valentine. With everything back to normal, Rimuru basks in the thought that his friend was just being controlled.
Negative. He was acting of his own free will the entire time. I knew you didn't want to kill Maribel, so I let Yuuki do it for you.
Big shout out to Ashley Hockham and Marco for becoming my two newest patrons.